Hey, it's me, Narrative, and I just watched Deadpool and Wolverine. Now bear in mind this is a spoiler review, but if you want to hear my spoiler-free thoughts, here it is. If you were a fan of the first two Deadpool movies, I don't think you'll be disappointed for the most part. Ryan Reynolds continues to do excellent work with the character, and Hugh Jackman was fantastic in this one as well. So if you're just looking for Deadpool and Wolverine going on a high-stakes adventure, this movie very well scratches that itch. It truly is the team-up we've been waiting for. Unfortunately though, it does feel like it abandons a ton of the things from the first Deadpool movies, particularly some of its characters, despite the fact that these are the people that Deadpool is fighting for. In its place are gratuitous cameos from characters from worlds long abandoned. So again, it might not be for everyone. With all that out of the way, let's get into some spoilers.
Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go.
The movie opens with a hilarious and offensive tribute to Logan. Like the sequence itself just exudes so much energy and hype, but people that were really invested in Logan's ending might find it a bit insulting. Heck, the TVA calls Deadpool out for this. Even so, just because you acknowledge it doesn't really make the problem go away. In isolation of Logan though, yeah, it fits in well with how most Deadpool movies open. The only thing that I think does throw me off is the fact that the names of the cast members during the opening were kind of basic. Like in Deadpool 2, I kind of loved how they were poking fun at the cast and crew with these nicknames and insults. Deadpool 3's cast call was just basic and a bit corporate. Speaking of basic, after the bombastic opening, the movie starts to slow down a bit, with Wade going off into Earth 616, which is a stupid designation for the MCU universe by the way, and he's trying to audition for the Avengers through Happy Hogan. I do love the tiny visual gag with the endgame photo of Tony and Peter. Like, I just choose to believe that the MCU still has no idea what happens to photos and videos of Peter Parker. But yeah, this scene sets up the sort of journey that Deadpool goes on as he tries to find meaning and importance far beyond his own world. He should be happy now, but it's clear that he wants more. He wants to be special, and that's a good journey for him. Sadly, the movie just lets him down, and it's a shame because they had the potential to actually tie in the multiverse into this personal journey with the Deadpool core. Now, the reason why the TVA actually hunted this version of Deadpool down is because of some sort of grand plan. But can you imagine if they just lied about that? Like, these guys just keep trying to find the right Deadpool, and the ones that end up in the void were this weird band of rejected Deadpools. That would imply that none of the Deadpools are special. Their lives have no meaning, and that could have played in so well with Wade Wilson's midlife crisis. It also would have given the Deadpool core more of a place in the movie, because as sad as it is to hear, the Deadpool core is probably one of the weakest parts of the movie. These guys were just disposable props for the climax, which was kind of lame. The climax is good, but they just really stick out. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the deuteragonist of the film, Wolverine. Hugh Jackman brings his A game for this. The way they wrote him in this movie was immaculate. They wrote him as if he were a legacy character whose journey we've followed on for years. And to some degree, we have. But that's the brilliance of it. For all intents and purposes, this is an entirely new Wolverine. And the writers definitely make use of that, and they give him a solid backstory that ties in well with the costume that he wears throughout the majority of the movie. It'd be one thing if the costume was just made for fan service. Fan service that most of us deserve, you know. They made us wait for years for this look. But the costume actually serves as an excellent meta commentary on how Logan is essentially wearing the corpse of the X-Men franchise, and that's just amazing. Although I will be honest, I do kind of prefer the yellow and brown costume that showed up in the multiverse montage. Also, the costume's mask, while great in most shots, does look a bit off sometimes. I don't think I'm alone in thinking this, since most people think that the mask was CGI, when there is behind the scenes images that prove that it isn't for the most part. Let's tackle this quickly now though. The CGI in the movie is hit and miss. Like, sometimes it looks great, and then other times it's pretty bad. Like, there's this one scene in the movie where it was so well choreographed and ends with Deadpool and Wolverine looking like PS4 renders. Yeah, it was that horrible. So more on the negative side, despite how great Deadpool and Wolverine were portrayed in this movie, their interactions can feel a bit tired near the midway point of the film. Me and my sister agree that Deadpool and Wolverine's interactions can be summed up as a yapping dog and an owner that just yells, "Shut up," at most intervals.
Stupid dog! You made me look bad!
Personally, I just wish that around the third or fourth argument that these two just had some sort of a buffer or a character to break up the repetition. It's not all bad. I mean, their arguments do lead to one of Wolverine's best lines in the movie, and it also leads to one of the steamiest scenes ever taken in a car. All you need to know is that it involves a Honda Odyssey, a ton of screaming, and some bondage for good measure. I'm not going to elaborate on that. You all need to watch the scene to believe it. Continuing on, the movie has a ton of cameos, which some people may hate, and despite how these cameos were of little impact to me personally, they do play a very significant role in a metatextual sense. Deadpool and Wolverine has a secret objective, something that I don't think the trailers quite showed, which is great in all honesty. This movie was a hidden tribute to the Fox universe, a universe that wasn't all that greatly praised and notably petered out near its end. Yeah, it did kind of work. I did feel for these characters that never quite got the spotlight, and this movie did right by them. I wouldn't mind seeing these characters make a name for themselves in future projects though. Despite what people may say about this, I can definitely tell you this much. It's way better than the CGI fest for the Flash movie.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Now on to the villains of the movie. This movie has two villains, both trying to do different things. First is the rogue TVA agent Paradox, who is this pompous and uncaring character who simply sees the Fox universe as small potatoes in a grand scheme of things, looking to destroy an entire line of worlds just to prove a point to his superiors. If you think about it, he can be seen as a stand-in for fanboys, corporate entities, and just people linked to that. Personally though, he is a bit weak. I do find it funny how he just kind of gets by the skin of his teeth in most confrontations. A more noteworthy antagonist is Cassandra Nova, Charles Xavier's twin sister whom he had battled with in the womb. This version of the character was sent to the Void likely after her birth. Because of her powers, she effectively serves as the Void's master. This character does some insanely brutal shit in the movie. It's very rare that we get to see this kind of brutality when it comes to Marvel movies, so it was a joy to see her around. Disappointingly, however, despite her first kill in the movie, she doesn't really do anything of that level of violence again. It's a shame, considering her enemies are known for their healing factors. Also, isn't it weird how Deadpool doesn't seem to get any grave injuries in this film? Like in the first half, he gets his hand amputated, and in the second one, he's ripped in half. And in this one, he gets bullet holes, broken bones, and some wounds from the Wolverine. I can see Wolverine getting less damage because of his adamantium skeleton, but definitely not Deadpool. It's a nitpick, but I thought this deserves some attention. Back onto Cassandra. Near her last confrontation with Deadpool and Wolverine, she kind of shifts her motivations. It's a bit of a whiplash. I mean, it makes sense, but I do find it weird. Like, she just starts off wanting to get a Wolverine for her army, onto destroying the multiverse. Oh well, at least she made the climax exciting. I wouldn't trade the climax and the Like a Prayer sequence for anything else. Speaking of which, the song choices in the movie, baby, they were so good. All in all, Deadpool and Wolverine is a solid romp through the multiverse. Granted, I don't think it quite pulled off everything that it sets out to do, because this movie needed to do a lot. It's a sequel to Deadpool 2, an introduction to a new Wolverine, the TVA for some newer viewers, and other multiversal concepts established in the MCU. And lastly, it needed to send off a section of the Marvel Universe. It just makes sense that they couldn't quite juggle all of that around. Truth be told, seeing them try and make something entertaining out of that, I can say that they gave their maximum effort in this one. And it was all worth it. That's all from me. Thanks for watching. See you later.